Good morning, everybody. We're all ready to begin here. Um, I hope everyone can hear us. So, my name is Allison Clark, and I'm with the Tourism Industry Association of PEI. And today's webinar is 45 to Thrive. So, we're really pleased that you could join us today, and I would like to acknowledge participation from our partners on this project, the provinces of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland and Labrador, and the tourism industry associations of each province, including Tourism Industry Association of New Brunswick, the Tourism Industry Association of Prince Edward Island, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course, Tourism Atlantic ACOA. The aim of TourismTechnology.com is to empower tourism operators in Atlantic Canada to improve their competitiveness by effectively using online technology. TourismTechnology.com provides operators with the skills, knowledge, and expertise to take advantage of current online tools and resources. TourismTechnology.com offers one-on-one mentoring, workshops, and tutorials, all ranging from basic to advanced levels of learning. So today, if you're following along online, feel free to use the hashtag TourismTech in your tweets or posts. And during this webinar, we do encourage you to ask questions or provide comments, and you can email those to aclark, so ACLARK at taipi.pe.ca, and Peggy here will answer them at the end of her presentation. And again, we're very happy to have Peggy here from the Central Coastal Tourism Partnership with us today. Peggy has Peggy has been in her role as the Tourism Development Manager for the Central Coastal Tourism Partnership, or CCTP, since 2013. She works with tourism operators in both the Green Gables Shore and Red Sands Shore area, and is mandated to champion partnerships and empower growth. For the past 20 years, Peggy has been involved in professional roles related to marketing coordination and community development. These include roles with the City of Summerside, the Summerside Chamber of Commerce, the Harbourfront Theatre, Recreation, PEI, and a number of businesses and nonprofit organizations through her work as an entrepreneurial marketing consultant. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Peggy to get started.
Okay, thank you, Allison. And thank you to Allison and TaiPi for the invitation today to provide this presentation. So as you can see on the screen, the name of the presentation is 45 to Thrive, 45 inexpensive or free partnership strategies to grow your business. And we're going to aim to do this in 45 minutes, so 45 and 45. So we'll see how we get along. A lot of what I'm going to present, I think that a lot of you will already know. So I am just going to serve as the reminder voice that you needed, so that you can start to put these things into practice. So some of the 45 we'll zip through. Some will take a moment or two to discuss. And the 45 partnership strategies, some of them come from my own experience from the different roles I've had that Allison has mentioned. But lots of them are examples that come from tourist operators that I work with now. So I'm looking forward to presenting those to you. There will be a call to action at the end of the presentation. So we'll go over that at the end. And I can email this PowerPoint presentation out to you following today. So, as Allison mentioned, I'm with the Central Coastal Tourism Partnership. We're a non-for-profit, membership-based organization, and our members are a wide variety of tourism operators and tourism suppliers. And the CCTP covers everything between Summerside and Charlottetown, north to south, as you can see on the map on the screen there. And yes, our mandate is to champion partnerships and empower growth. So how do we do this? We bring members together, for example, through roundtable groups that we have in communities like Kensington and Rustico, Borden and Victoria. We do also facilitate some training programs, and we also facilitate promotional opportunities. So all those, again, tie in with our mission and mandate to champion partnerships and empower growth. So we're going to get right to it and start with the number one, partnership strategies to grow your business. So are you attending a business event? Have a goal. So for example, do you have a goal when you go to a business mixer? So my goal often when I go to a function like that is to exchange business cards with 3 people. And so why does this help? It forces me away from the food table and out of my comfort zone, where I'm maybe hanging out with my business buddies, and makes me get to know some other people and learn about new people, new products, new businesses, and then to think about how those people or what they have to offer affects my business, and how I can partner and work with them. So maybe many of you are going to the TaiPi conference this Friday. So I challenge you to ask yourself, what goal can you set? It's the perfect opportunity to interact with operators from across the island, with government officials, with the speakers who are going to be there. So what goals can you set if you're attending the TaiPi conference this Friday? So I challenge you to think about that. Number 2. Develop an elevator pitch. So my elevator pitch to you was telling you about my organization and our goal to champion partnerships and empower growth. So maybe you have your elevator pitch polished, which is great, and maybe you don't. And if you don't, you might want to start developing something based on the 5 W's. So think about that. Think about how you can develop a succinct overview of what it is you do and what you're about, and how you can share that very briefly as your elevator pitch. So number 3 for partnership strategies, exchanging business cards, from pocketing it to clocking it. So what I mean by that is, when someone gives you a business card, what do you do with it? I hate piles of business cards, which I have a stack of in my office right now, which I have to process. So what I'm suggesting and what I need to put into action is the next day after you've attended a mixer and you maybe have a handful of business cards, what do you do with them? So send that person an email and tell them, hey, it was great to meet you. I look forward to connecting with you in the future, however that may be. You can add them to your e-newsletter. Disclaimer, of course, you need to ask permission to do that. So if you're sending them an email, you may want to use that opportunity to ask them if you can add them to your e-newsletter that you may have. You can add them to your database. So for example, I have an Excel spreadsheet of different operators that I work with in my region. So I would add that person whose business card I just got to the database, and I would add them to my contacts on LinkedIn. So again, it goes back to, what do you do with that mitt full of business cards? How do you process that the next day so that you can incorporate those people into your network and hopefully work with them in the future for different business partnerships? Number 4, get a professional name tag made, or maybe it's a shirt with your logo, and wear that thing to meetings and functions and just in your day-to-day activities. It's a conversation starter, so it's a good idea to have that. And yeah, it sort of, it can speak for itself and is an introduction to the people that you're interacting with, whether it's on a day-to-day thing or at a business function. And maybe something else I'll mention, this really could be a standalone slide, but think about online too, how you're introducing yourself. So I've seen a lot of websites and a lot of Facebook pages where it shares information about a business, but it doesn't share anything about the business owner. It doesn't list the business owner's name or things like that. So especially if you're a new business, sometimes I'm doing research and going to a new business's website or Facebook page, and I want to connect with a person, not just a business. So that's something to think about too, is how are you introducing yourself online? Do you have your name on your website or your social media? Moving on to number 5, use handouts as a partnership strategy. So if you're like me, sometimes you find that the Facebook invitations are a little too much, a little overwhelming. And sometimes it's nice to have something in your hand with all the details. So I have a member of mine, and she has a restaurant. And so when she goes to a chamber mixer, she may bring some little flyers talking about a special promotion that she's doing at her restaurant. And she passes those out to people at the mixer. Whereas if she had just shared that verbally with me, I may not necessarily retain that information, but I'm going home with a piece of paper with all the details, so that's really helpful. Something else related to handouts is things like bag stuffers. So if you have a venue where you can pass out little flyers or put them in bags, that's great. And one step further to that is, who are your fellow business operators? Who are your fellow partners that, you can give them some bag stuffers too, and they can stuff their bags with your promotional material. I've been involved in sporting events before where we've partnered with a local pizza company, and they allowed us to put handouts on each of the pizza boxes that were going out, same as a locally owned coffee place. So just think about who are those partners that you can partner with, and thinking about it in terms of a physical piece of promotional literature that you can use to get your message out. So number 6, join business and industry organizations and capitalize on two-way communication. This is a no-brainer. I'm probably speaking to the converted based on your involvement in the tourism association. And an organization like TIPI or a chamber or the PEI Business Women's Association or Rotary, they're all great because as soon as you join, you're in the loop and you start receiving communication from the organization. And as a member, you can communicate with your organization about advocacy and lots of other things. And so the photo on the slide with the blue herons is from Malpeque Fine Iron. So they're a member of my association, and I know they're a member of a lot of other associations too. And the reason they invest in a lot of industry organizations is they don't want to be on the sidelines. So they're very proactive about sending me information and photos and information about awards they've won, and they get involved, and that's great. So by investing in these organizations, they're helping to promote their business. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, I guess, with number 7, engage, which is what I mentioned that Malpeque Fine Iron does. Engage with the business and industry organizations you belong to and use the resources available. So the photo on the slide is of Kathy Kennedy on the left, and she's a member of mine from Ship to Shore Restaurant in Darnley, and she's there with Laurel Reed, who's a consultant. And they were paired up through a program that my organization offers, and this program cost Kathy $350, but it has a value of over $2,000. So through this program, Kathy worked with Laurel, the consultant, and received all kinds of great information about marketing and operations and human resource development and all that sort of thing. So in the end, she spent $350, but it could potentially save her or make her thousands of dollars. So explore what programs the different industry organizations that you're a member of offer. So number 8, one step further, challenge the business and industry organizations you belong to. So ask for events and opportunities to be connected to other members. I would love if my members did that. Is it an event like speed networking or just an introduction or a training session on a particular topic? And all of these different industry organizations are currently offering great programs, but what's something they're not offering that you as an entrepreneur or a business professional need? So make sure you ask that and challenge the organizations that you're a member of to see if you can work with them to offer something new and something different and something that's needed for you as a business owner or business operator. Because it's really important to have your perspective. Myself as a manager of an association, I'm not necessarily the one on the front line and seeing things through your eyes. So if you can bring that perspective to the organizations that you're a member of, that's really helpful to me as a manager. So number 9, volunteer on a big scale. So this is a picture of Derek Hoare, who's the owner-operator of the Table Culinary Studio in New London. And Derek is the president of my association, and he's also a brand new operator. So, as the president of my organization, he has access to high-level government officials. He's met operators throughout the region that he may not have necessarily met on his own. He all of a sudden has an understanding of the inner workings of PEI's tourism industry. And he's got visibility as the president of the organization. People have come to know Derek and know who he is and gotten to know about his business. So that is an important partnership strategy, is volunteering on a big scale. Number 10, volunteer on a small scale. If you volunteer at an event you're going to be at anyway, and say you run the registration table, that puts you in touch with 20 or 50 or 100 people. It's a chance to introduce yourself. It's an opportunity to understand who's who. And maybe it's a 2-hour commitment. I'm sure myself or Allison would really appreciate
Very much.
some volunteer help, for a couple of hours, and certainly think about how you are going to take advantage of it, which is, that touch point with a large number of people. So I'd encourage you to do that. Number 11, sponsor an event or program. So in the photo is myself and Kim Champion on the right. She's from Eastlink. And last year, the CCTP partnered with Kim and Eastlink for a Small Business Month initiative. So this involved visiting our members and delivering them cookies and asking them how their season was. And it also provided Kim and Eastlink with an opportunity to hear from operators themselves, what were their challenges, and I know Kim gained some good customer leads out of that, and it really helped her to understand what was happening on the ground. So certainly I know that was a program that worked for her and may work for you. So number 12, don't wait for others to do it for you. So the photos on this screen, they're all venues in New London. And what I mean by that, don't wait for others to do it for you. So this past season, I think it was in June, the business operators in New London decided to have a kickoff to summer. And they just did that themselves. It took some organization, it took some promotion. My organization shared it a little bit, but it was really them putting on their own show. So they didn't necessarily need to do that through one organization or another. They took the initiative, they got organized, they really felt like there was, some great product and great venues happening in New London, and they wanted to show them off and have a kickoff to summer. So think about who are your business neighbors and can you do something similar like that. Number 13, go on a best practices mission. There's access to so many different resources and places, and through TIPI you can access programs like GMIST, or certainly learn more about what GMIST does, which is the Gross Morin Institute for Sustainable Tourism. And the photo on the right is a group from Borden Carlton. They're going through a tourism development exercise right now. So this is a photo of them in Maine. This in particular is them on a foodie tour, a culinary tour, and they did lots of other exercises as well. But it doesn't have to be all the way to Maine. You know, I've got Georgetown on the slide there, and they're doing some really exciting things and are really determined to grow and succeed as a town. And you know, Perry Gotel, one of our well-known operators here, is very involved in that. So it could just be a matter of talking to Perry and his group and going down for an afternoon and observing what they're doing. So what does a best practices mission do? It gets your creative juices flowing. It gets you motivated with ideas to contribute to your community. It causes the people on the mission to gel as a group. And it also affirms what you're doing is right, because, you know, other communities have challenges as well. And so you get to observe that side of it too. And you sometimes come to understand that you're doing a lot of things right. So that can be very affirming. So whether it's near or far, consider going on a best practices mission. So something else, this is a little different, go on a familiarization tour. So this is a photo of Scott O'Neill of O'Neill Gallery and Cafe in Malpeque when the CCTP did a culinary fam tour back in May of this year. And, you know, we had all kinds of people. We had a bus of 50 people, and a lot of them had said, you know, we never knew this was here. And all of a sudden now they know. Now they know this venue is here, and they're going to go back. So whether it's through a chamber or a tourism association, maybe they help to organize it, or maybe it's just you hitting the road with your staff. It's a great way to stay on top of what's happening in the community. So consider going on a FAM tour. Number 15, visit your business neighbor and exchange information. So it could be informal over coffee. It could be just asking them how their year is going, how are they succeeding, what are their challenges, and then how can you collaborate? And you'd be amazed at what will come up and what opportunities will present themselves. Number 16, revisit your business plan annually. My guess is that you have some potential partnerships already outlined in your business plan or your strategic plan. So, you know, use a review to help you get back on track or modify your plan as needed. And, you know, your business plan should be your Bible. So if you're already revisiting that annually or twice a year, that's great. And if you're not, this might be a great time to brush it off or look it up on the computer and, you know, look at what your intentions were and your vision was when you started out, and what do you need to get back to that or revise that. 17, have a retreat with your staff. So consider them your partners for success. So what are their ideas? What are their experiences and perceptions? What did they see every day that you don't? What are their links in the community that you can leverage? So important to stay in tune with your staff. Reward your business neighbor. That's a great partnership strategy. So Operation Sammy Claus, that's something that Samuel's Coffee House in Summerside does every year around Christmas time. And of course they visit different businesses and they share it up on social media, and they get a lot of traction on social media, and you know, people are visiting their page and wondering where Samuel's going to go today. And it's a great way to gain loyal customers or retain loyal customers as well. It's just a feel-good thing, and you know, it really projects them in a positive light within the community. And it's, you know, and I know from their perspective, they really love doing it, and it makes them feel good too. Number 19, capitalize on national or local campaigns. So we just had Small Business Week or Small Business Month back in October. And because that's a national campaign, there are different promotional opportunities available. So go online and check out what are those promo tools that you can tap into and use. I think Black Friday and Cyber Monday is just coming up. So, things like that. How can you leverage? For example, I know a lot of the merchants in downtown Summerside, they get together just like those operators in New London got together, and they work together to form a promotional plan around that. So working together instead of just one business promoting their Black Friday sale, if there are half a dozen, that just makes it a bigger and better campaign, and the public are more apt to pay attention to that. Number 20, team up with business allies. So on the left is a photo of the new restaurant in Kensington, Broadway 45, and on the right is Eric Skerman from Malpeque Fine Iron. So Broadway 45 solicited Eric to make the beer sample holders that you can see in the photo, that are the beer holder that's in front of Eric there. So that's a great partnership opportunity where they thought outside the box. And, I think probably most people on the webinar today are tourism businesses, but, it doesn't necessarily have to be a fellow tourism operator that you're partnering with. What are some other businesses in your community or in your area that you can partner with and, create success for all? Number 21, team up with your competitors. So this is a really neat thing. This is a program where different fish harvesters and fisher people and fish organizations, they got together, and this is on the Pacific and the Atlantic coast. So it's a way to trace the seafood you buy back to its origins. So whether that's in a restaurant or a retail store, you can figure out, that your fish was caught by Joe Brown in Port aux Basques, Newfoundland, which is really interesting for people. So, this was a way where all of these different organizations and fish harvesters and seafood businesses got together, ultimately competitors, and looked at how they could work together to promote their industry as a whole. So I'd encourage you to check that out online. It's pretty neat. Number 22, joint marketing ad buys. I know a lot of you are already doing that. So, for example, if you're looking at print advertising in Saltscapes magazine or The Guardian or The Coast in Halifax, can you work together to bring down the cost of your advertising and build a bigger, better ad? Number 23, joint marketing via the marketing tools belonging to your business. So one example I have there is the Watermark Theatre in North Rustico sends a reminder notice out through email to their patrons a couple of days before the show at the theater that they're attending. So the email makes suggestions on restaurants to go to before the theater, retail shops they might want to visit. So this is an initiative of the theater, and they do it as a community service. But, I challenge you to think about the opportunities like this that are available to you and how you can work with fellow business people so that you can do those sort of joint marketing things that may not cost any money. We're talking about tools that you already have in your business. So maybe that's your Facebook page. Maybe that's your email network or your e-newsletter, that sort of thing. Do you have a marquee sign outside of your business? So are there sharing opportunities there that you can work with your fellow business operators on? 24, form a buying group. So what is a buying group? Buying group, also known as collective buying, offers products and services at significantly reduced prices on the condition that a minimum number of buyers would make the purchase. So this could be on things like supplies, but it could also be on things like training. So, if you only have 5 staff and you know of a program that needs a minimum of 20 people to run a customer service training program, talk to your other business people and come up with those numbers to make it happen. Number 25, partnership agreement, memorandum of understanding. So this should outline what each partner is going to deliver, the frequency, when and how. So for example, if the Watermark Theatre includes your restaurant in their pre-show emails, you will display promotion about the show on your counter and assist showgoers with online bookings. So that's just one example. And it may sound intense to have a written memorandum of understanding, but it really is a way to encourage both parties to follow through and to make that happen. So I would certainly encourage you to do that. Number 26, make sure your frontline staff know about your partnerships. So if your accommodation has partnered to do joint promotion with, say, the Indian River Festival, do your staff know the details of the show and how guests can book? Do they know the location and can they provide directions? So, you as an operator may know the ins and outs of a partnership deal very well, but go that next step and make sure that all of your frontline people know as well. Number 27, your personal shopping practices are also your business. So, where are you getting gas? Where are you getting your groceries? If you really want to demonstrate your commitment to your partners and your community, you have to put that into action. So, and they're going to appreciate that. They're going to see you out and about, buying their services for your own personal use. So keep that in mind, that your personal shopping practices are also your business. Number 28, offer a business-to-business opportunity. And this is the logo from Crossfire. I think Dean may be on the webinar today. And Dina Crossfire is really great at this, at offering discounts to fellow members. So whether that's accommodation operators, retail workers, etc. And he puts this out to them at the beginning of the season to try his product, and in turn they become ambassadors for his business because they understand it, because they've experienced it. So it's really a way for him to extend his his sales force essentially, and to get the word out. So I'd encourage you to do something similar and think about what business to business promotions you can offer. Number 29, this is a neat program happening in Kensington, and it's an initiative that sees Kensington students and businesses working together to give students work-ready skills, job experience, and deeper roots in the community. And it's great to take advantage of these sorts of programs because this is your future sales force. It's a way for young community members to get to know your business. So this is a Kensington specific example, but can you approach your high schools or junior highs in your own community to find out if there's a way to implement something similar? Number 30, engage with post-secondary institutions. So be a guest speaker. I know Holland College encourages students to get to know the industries that they're going to be working in. There's so many different campuses. Again, this is a way to get the word out about your business. I recently was part of a tourism panel for a tourism class at UPEI. And we had to pitch a real life challenge that we were having, and the students were tasked with trying to find a solution for that challenge. So that was really beneficial for me because it was students helping me out to figure out how to work through this challenge, and then they also got to learn more about my organization and the other panelists' businesses that were involved. Number 31, LinkedIn. I find it a useful tool to find people and to find their contact information. I know there's a lot of ins and outs to it, and Alice and I were talking earlier. I think there's a webinar or a lunch and learn coming up sometime this winter, so stay tuned on that, because I have a feeling LinkedIn is a more useful tool than many of us realize. Number 32, follow the media. Here's a great example from Nitpickers. Margaret McCachran, she's near Cavendish. So a while back, or I guess around Labor Day weekend, one of the reporters from CBC tweeted about, looking for things for tourists to do after Labor Day. So Margaret made sure that she connected with this reporter, and she shared about the workshops that she has through Nitpickers and how long those are available. So sure enough, she showed up in the news piece that was produced by CBC, and last I checked, it had 270 shares, and it had a big mention of her business with a photo, and that cost her nothing. So it just speaks to the importance of considering the media as one of your partners. Now, that sort of thing can be hit and miss, but I'm hoping through 270 shares, Margaret at least got a few bookings for her workshops, for her business. So keep those sorts of things on your radar. Number 33, follow innovative business owners to learn their practices. So I've thrown a few names up on the screen there of people that I've noticed are doing lots of innovative, smart things through their business. So I'd encourage you to follow people like that online. Suzanne Scott in particular is really great on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, and through her work with various groups like the Craft Council. She's really great at sharing, so she's one to watch. I'd even encourage you to just set up informal interviews or pick up the phone. And I think everybody wants to talk about themselves and share what their secrets of success are. So just give some thought to who are those innovative business owners around you that you can tap for their insight and their wisdom, and then to add as a new connection. Number 34, subscribe to e-newsletters. I know some people will say email, they don't pay any attention to it, and sometimes that can be true, but it's one more tool. I have found success through that with my organization. So subscribe to e-newsletters. So I've given an example of one good one that I follow there, and it gives some really good tips about networking, connecting, communication, and collaboration. So check that out. Number 35, start an e-newsletter. So, for example, Indian River Festival has one, and I get theirs. I get an e-newsletter from the Victoria Playhouse, from the Confederation Center, and it helps me plan what shows I want to go to and keeps me in tune of what's coming up at each of their venues. So you can also put sign-up buttons for e-newsletters on your website and on Facebook, so consider that as well. That's a way of getting more people signed up. And then, as mentioned earlier, you want to always ask permission before subscribing people to follow the appropriate guidelines. Number 36, create an email thread. So it could be something more informal. So, for example, we have a group of tourism operators in the Rustico area, and we meet in person every 2 or 3 months, and that's great. But in addition to that, we also have an email thread. So it's just for example, this summer there was a new restaurant, the Yellow House in Rustico, that had just opened, and so I sent something to everybody in the round table on the email thread and just said, the Yellow House is open now. Here's their menu. Here's their hours. Show them some love as fellow tourism operators in that area. And right away, about 5 different operators came back with feedback. And, oh, I've been there. It's so great. Keep doing what you're doing. And, oh, yes, I shared that with visitors. And, oh, I shared that on Facebook. And then the owners of the Yellow House came back and said, oh, that's so great. Thank you so much. That's so appreciated. So that was all through the email thread. Just simple sharing. Keeping people in the loop, and using it as an opportunity to encourage other operators. Think about setting that up, whether in your community or with a certain sector you're involved with. It can be a great sharing tool. Number 37, capture photos, share them up through social media. Send photos to Allison, send photos to me, and we'll be happy to share those in the newsletters and the social media tools that we have. It's just one more way to get the word out about what you're doing. 38, be inspired by reading. So I've made some recommendations here of some books you might want to check out. I have been telling everyone and their dog about 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. I think it's so popular, it's out of print right now, but I think they're doing a new print, which is going to be out in a couple of weeks. And it's sort of a dire title, but it's actually a really inspiring book about how to positively affect your community. So I would really encourage you to read that book or any of the others that are on the screen there. Snail mail. Are you sending out Christmas cards? Are you sending out thank you notes or notes of recognition? So maybe one of the suppliers or operators that you partner with just won an award. So can you jot a little note to them and pop it in the mail? It's memorable. And don't you want to be memorable to your partners and your suppliers and your customers? Everybody likes getting a little piece of paper in the mail. So, number 40, collect testimonials from your clients, customers, and fellow business people. And so use this in your promotion to validate your business or organization. Credibility sells. 41, give copies of your promotional material to your support professionals. So it could be your lawyer, your accountant, your printer, your banker, your advertising agency, your office supply salesperson. So if you're doing this now, that's great. And if you're not, think about that. I'm sure they would be all too happy to have your business cards or your literature at least on their counter. So I'd encourage you to do that. Number 42, outreach to community groups. So the Brackley Drive-In Theater is a great example of that. I know they do a fundraising event every year, Trunk or Treat. It's sort of a Halloween-themed drive-in night that they have at the end of September. And I know the last couple of years they've partnered with the IWK and they've used it as a fundraiser for the IWK, which gives them some leverage to promote their drive-in and the fact that they're working with that group and that it's a great cause. I know in the past they've also worked with groups like a classic car group, an electric car group. So think about what groups you can reach out to promote your business and get more customers. Number 43, seek a mentor. So learn from someone older and wiser, learn from someone younger and savvier, maybe tech savvier. And what can you offer them in exchange? I know both the Summerside and Charlottetown Chambers of Commerce have mentorship programs, so that would be something to check out. And Allison from TyPie may be able to help you in that regard as well. Or it could just be informal. It doesn't have to be an organized mentorship program. Think about if there's someone you can tap into just to tap into for advice. Measure results. So this is really important. So, when you buy a ticket at the Harbourfront Theatre in Summerside, they ask you, how did you hear about this show? So they're trying to get information from you as to, did you read it in the newspaper? Did you see it on Facebook? Did you hear about it from a friend? The Brackley Drive-In, they put a coupon in our CCTP guidebook this year. So depending on the number that they collected, that they used that as a measurement tool. So think about those sorts of things and how you can measure results. And follow up with your partners. At the end of the season, talk to the accommodation operator that you partnered or packaged with, and let them give you feedback as to how that went. So measure results, very important. And we're coming up to the very last one. Give a heartfelt handshake when you are connecting with people. No flimsy handshakes. And more, I'm getting high fives and fist bumps. And after my Fall Flavors event, I got one from Greg Casely, who's a member of ours and also a partner for that event. And high fives and fist bumps feel just great. Who doesn't enjoy one of those? So, I think enthusiasm can go a really long way, especially when you're looking at partnership strategies. So I would encourage you to follow through with that personal touch, whether it's a handshake or otherwise. So next steps. So I mentioned a call to action earlier. So I will get information from Allison about everybody on today's webinar, and I can email you the presentation. And in 2 weeks' time, which is the week of December 5th, I'll be following up with each of you individually to see if you have performed 3 of the suggestions in today's presentation. So that's the call to action. And here is my contact information if you'd like to reach out or partner with me. And I'm just going to thank Allison again for inviting me today and appreciate the opportunity to share.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming in, Peggy. We really appreciate all of those tips and helpful ideas to get our business to the very next level. I did mention we do love getting questions here, and Peggy would love to answer some. There is a chat window on the presentation where you're watching, so you can say something there, or you can email me again if you like, whichever. And you do have Peggy's contact information, so if you think of something later that you'd like to ask her, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to reach out that way. But for right now, if you're wondering what your next learning steps are, other than what Peggy said, which is a great idea to follow up, I really like that. Puts the pressure on you to get something done. Tourism Technology also has many learning options that are available to you simply by contacting TyPie or your provincial TIA, which would be me. We would be happy to help you determine your next steps, whether they would be one-on-one mentoring, further workshops, training opportunities, or an advanced mentoring session. Coming up next, we also have a webinar next week on mobile technology for your business. And we also have a webinar on Instagram for tourism businesses, which are filling up quick. And we're really excited to have that as well. Again, thanks to Peggy. It was an awesome presentation, and it's very good to see lots of interest in this and partnering with your competitors and friends and whatever. So check out tourismtechnology.com for a complete list of resources and future training opportunities. We are starting to put together our winter training schedule, so be prepared, and that will be coming out probably the very 1st of January, if not right before Christmas. So registration should be open by then. And thank you to our project partners as well, the provinces of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course the tourism industry associations of each province, including the Tourism Industry Association of New Brunswick, the Tourism Industry Association of PEI, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course Tourism Atlantic ACOA. I hope that everyone has a great day, and we will be chatting soon. Thanks, bye.